Welcome to Beyond the Scale, the show where everyday heroes share their stories on how they turn their lives around for the healthier. I'm Coach Brittany, and today's guest is former NFL star Steve Weatherford. He teaches you how to strengthen your mindset using simple mindfulness techniques. Hope you enjoy. Welcome, Steve Weatherford.
It's good to be here. I'm in HQ, home of Bedros and all the soldiers, and it's awesome because I feel like every time I show up here, I make a new friend. So when I go home, I still keep in touch with them. So I love coming here. I love everything that Bedros is doing. I love everything that Fit Body Boot Camp is doing, how they're growing, and not the fact that they're getting bigger as a company, but they're helping other people grow. Not necessarily by losing weight, but just empowering people with the tools that they need in order to improve their life. And to me, to be able to support him by coming on this show and the way that he's supported me is just, it's fun because you get to be around people that have the same intentions and mission in life as you do. So I couldn't be more excited to be sitting right here in this chair.
And that's definitely the goal, surrounding yourself with like-minded people. And we love the energy that you bring every time you come. So thank you for that.
I love to be around people that want to be right where their feet are, and when people work for a company or have a boss like Bedros who really makes it his mission in life that his team members and the people that are representing him in the community, whether that's franchise owners or that's instructors or people that are handling quality control, any of that, he makes sure that they understand his vision, not just what their job is, but what his vision is for this company and what this company is going to bring out into the world. And when you're around people like that, it forces you to level up your game or get out of the room because all of this sudden you become the outlier because you're not encouraging the person next to you, you're not inspiring the person behind you, and you're not leading the people that need to be led. And so when you come here, regardless of whatever mood you're in, you have to check it in the door because once you walk in, if you don't bring the positive energy, if you don't bring determination, if you don't check those excuses at the door, you're going to be alienated when you're in here, and in a good way because it's an ecosystem of positive peer pressure. It's just fun to be around.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you on that. Now, I want to get into you, your life with your family, how you keep a balance. But first, can you give our listeners a little summary of what you're currently doing?
What I am currently doing right now, my family and I just welcomed our 5th child.
Congrats.
Golden Grace. So honestly, I'm just doing everything I can to enjoy these moments I can with her because I know from experience with my previous 4 kids, before I know it, they're going to be starting to crawl, starting to walk, and then all of a sudden, you go from being able to watch the kid and sit down and do emails at the same time, or even do a Facebook Live while you're watching your kid because they don't move. And the only time I really need to look in that general vicinity is if she starts to cry. So it's making my job a little bit more difficult as the kids get older, but so much more fun. So really just going all in on being a parent because after my 10-year NFL career, that was my main motivator from walking away from a career like that had so much financial reward, but also required a lot of my life, and I got to the point where I had reached a little bit of financial freedom to possibly start to think about what's the next move for me. Like, do I want to try to play until the wheels fall off the bus? Or do I want to exit when I feel like my purpose has been fulfilled within this facet of my journey? When that chapter is done and I don't feel like there's anything else that I want to add to those accomplishments or et cetera, I knew that after my 10th season that I knew before 10 years was up, I knew that there was something bigger out there that I wanted to do and provide and create that would leave a lasting impact on people's lives, so much more deeper than just entertaining people with an athletic prowess that I had developed, which I still think it's awesome, that I was able to become through hard work and dedication and sacrifice and a lot of people pouring their time and energy into me. I was able to become one of the best in the world at what I did. But after doing that for 10 years, I wanted to do a new challenge and I wanted to reinvent myself and I wanted to become a bigger, more impactful part of people's lives. I wanted people to go to my social media as a habit every single morning to read my morning motivation or to read my self affirmations or to go there for a workout or a nutrition plan or a recipe. When I'm able to create those different items to solve issues in people's lives, it improves their life. And if it improves their life, at the end of the day, when I'm on my deathbed and I look back and, regardless if I made $1 or $1 billion, it's not going to change how I feel about myself. At least for me, I know the people that I impact and the lives that were changed because of my energy or my gifts or my generosity or my vulnerability. That's going to last forever as far as I'm concerned, because I'm hopeful that those people that I infect with my positive energy or my motivation or my insight or my mindset will pay that forward to the next person that needs it and the next person that needs it. And it's exponential. So if you bring the two most important things in life to control, and really in my opinion, the only two things required to be successful, to earn prosperity, is your attitude and your effort. And if you bring a positive attitude and an infectious energy everywhere you go, you're going to infect people. You could start at your job, your city, your state, your region, your country. You look at what people have done, like Oprah.
Hmm.
You look back at her backstory, getting fired from her first news reporting job because they said she wasn't cut out for TV, going broke, being molested, all these different things and all these different adversities that she overcame. Just to overcome them is amazing, but then to overcome them, leverage them, inspire, motivate, create a massive network, create a massive empire, and then, for lack of a better word, give it all away, because she's made boatloads of money and she's given away boatloads of money. And to me, I've never looked up to athletes, but Oprah's been a hero for a long time.
Now, you talk about mindset. You clearly have a really strong mindset. Where do you think that came from? Have you always had it, or did you have to work on it?
I have to work on it every single morning. I get that 10 minutes. One of the hardest parts of my day um, is waking up and forcing myself to have 10 minutes of just mindfulness. And when I say mindfulness, that's different for other people. It could be meditation. It could be a long walk with no phone, no headphones, nothing, just thinking. It could be prayer. Whatever your stick is, I think just giving your mind an opportunity to just be and to go where your mind wants to go, because we force our thoughts in millions of directions during the day, regardless if we're conscious of those directions or not. We force our brain to do different things. That's the 10 minutes every single morning. It's very difficult for me because I know how much I need to get done in a day, how much I want to get done in a day, to be able to take a deep breath and just let my mind wander. And honestly, that's when I come up with my most creative ideas. But it's difficult for me to do that because I have extreme ADHD. It's difficult for me to sit still. It's difficult for me to do one task without thinking about another one. And so for me, it's a personal exercise. And going back to your question, mindset, it's constant. It's just kind of like the quote: success is never owned, it's leased, and the rent is due every day. So that 10 minutes of uncomfortable silence that I put myself through every day is the equivalent of what a lot of these people that are listening to this right now are. They're uncomfortable with the thought of physical exertion or going through a workout and other people seeing them work out, or what if I can't finish it, or what if we do a flexibility test and I can't touch my toes, what if I run out of breath, what if I vomit, what if it comes out of the other end. We can sit and give ourselves anxiety all day by thinking about it, but having that 10 minutes of mindfulness in the morning allows me to be able to stop myself in my tracks if I start to get performance anxiety about a TV show I'm doing or a podcast or maybe a speaking engagement that I have. It's that 10 minutes in the morning that really kind of centers myself to remind me that I'm the boss of my mind. I control my destiny. We're going to go where I say we're going to go, not where my thoughts want to go, not the fear, not the imposter syndrome, not the inadequacies, none of that. I'm the master of my destiny, and it starts every single morning when I insist that I do it every single morning. It doesn't matter if I'm on 3 hours of sleep or 10 hours of sleep, I'm going to do it. And I think forcing that habit has allowed me to have some personal growth in my mindfulness and my attention span. And so it's been a process for me, because you become the best in the world at one thing. Well, I know what the protocol is that I need to do to prepare myself for that competition or prepare myself for that moment of excellence. Now I'm trying to create excellence in a completely different facet of my life. The formula is similar, but the ingredients are different. And so I'm still kind of on my personal journey to figure out exactly what those ingredients are, but I've been able to replicate it before. So it's just, to me, I'm guinea pigging different things on myself. And that's why I love being around people like Bedros and other high achievers, because they've done the same thing and they're constantly pushing their comfortability in places that they're weak. And that's, for me, that's mindfulness.
All right. Now, what is the biggest obstacle you have ever faced?
Man, that's a good question. I would say depression.
Really?
You know,
Okay.
a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about that, because if you talk about, oh, I had a period of depression, it's a sign of weakness. But I guess I'm comfortable enough in my skin that I'm okay to show some weaknesses, because I feel so strong about my strengths that having weaknesses isn't a bad thing, because I feel like once I publicly acknowledge something like that, I'm able to actively work on it. So yeah, I would say depression, because there's so many people that silently struggle
Yeah.
with depression. You know, you've got post-traumatic stress disorder. It could come from a million different things, but I've had a period in my life where I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. And looking back on it and looking at my life and the reasons that I was depressed during that time, actually had nothing to do with the circumstances of my life. It had everything to do with how I was actually living my life. And so I've been much more proactive in my wellness routine to make sure that I never allow my mind to go to that place again, because it's a scary place, being so depressed that you don't want to get out of bed, or being so depressed that you know things are important in your life, but you're neglecting them because your mind isn't functioning the way that it should function, whether that's a chemical imbalance or whether that's, you know, a reckless lifestyle or drug use, whatever the case may be. I feel just as bad for somebody that has a drug problem and then goes into a depression as I do somebody that goes to war and comes home and has depression, because they can't get themselves out of it. And people can't see on the surface. You know, if I broke my arm and it's in a sling, you're going to know not to tackle me, you know, because that's going to hurt my arm. But if I have depression, you can't see that. And so when you're speaking to me, you're not going to coddle my feelings. You're not going to be, are you doing okay? Because you don't know. You just see a big, strong man sitting in front of you, and you're going to assume that everything's okay unless I say otherwise. But if I'm depressed, I don't want to share that.
Yeah.
So I know that was a long-winded question to what you asked of me, but I think it's important to really lay it all out there, because I know there's a lot of people that are listening to this or watching this that have fought that very same thing. And that's the only reason I want to mention it right now, is at the end of the day, it makes me look weak, but it also might connect me to somebody that's listening to this or watching this that has had that period in their life. And so if you know that somebody that's won a Super Bowl and done the other things that I've done in my life had the same problem as you, there's light at the end of the tunnel, man.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
honestly, it's something that I'm going to have to keep an eye on for the rest of my life, but I'm okay with that, because I can control how vigilant I am with my mindfulness by spending 10 minutes every morning to make sure I never go to that place again, versus just living my life the way that I was living before and just assuming that my interior, my brain function is just as durable as my exterior. Come to find out, it's not. But it's not right now. I'm working on getting my mental to match my physical, and when I get to that point, it's gonna be scary.
I was gonna say the world better be prepared for
Yeah,
that.
I'm excited for the day, but I'm working every single day to try to get there, because I don't want to have any weaknesses, and I know I'll always have weaknesses, but working towards getting those weaknesses to the point that they don't stop your enjoyment of life and they don't stop your ability to nurture relationships and achieve happiness and share happiness. That's where I want to be.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And I know
Yeah.
you said you feel, maybe not as strong or weak for sharing that, but I think that makes you so strong that you are able to open up and share
Thank
that
you.
with the world. Now, I want to talk about your family. So, your kids, your wife, you're a fitness entrepreneur. How do you keep a balance?
That's another thing I'm working on. But I think it goes with the territory. If you really are, I mean, there's a difference between entrepreneurs and real entrepreneurs. And I found that out, I don't want to say the hard way, but I found that out in the past 2 years since I retired from the NFL and decided to pur- pursue essentially, a life of servitude. And I consider myself more of a public servant than I do an entrepreneur because different than the majority of fitness entrepreneurs, like I don't need the money. And I'm not saying that to elevate myself or anything like that. There's no reason I should have been paid what I got paid to kick a football. It was ridiculous. I wear shorts to work and I only play 4 or 5 plays a game, and it's, you make all that money. So I feel almost kind of like I was stealing for 10 years. And now when I go out and I engage with someone to try to help them, I'm hopeful that because of that, they know that my motivations are not financially generated. And I make sure to tell people, I'm like, man, I'm in this for the impact, not the income. Because if I was in this for the income, I'd still be wearing a helmet right now, making a couple $1 million a year for really not doing too much. Granted, I was really good at it, but I didn't do that much. Um, so I want people to know that they can trust me. And I think that's a very rare thing in the fitness industry in general. That's a very serious emotional interaction that you have to have with somebody in order for them to trust you. And so I take great, great pride in engaging with people and providing ridiculous amounts of value to them by way of motivation or mindset or nutrition or recipes or workouts, because I want to give so much that people are like, man, this guy has helped me so much and I've never given him $1. They want to give you money and they want to tell their friends to give you money because they're benefiting from you. So they can only imagine how much they're going to benefit from you if you actually give them money to do it. And so honestly, the money really just allows me to reinvest it into my team, because if I can build a larger team, I can create a larger company. If I create a larger company, I'm going to have a larger impact. If I have a larger impact, I'm going to have a bigger smile on my face when I'm laying in the casket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, I want to be ear to ear. You know what I mean? And millions of dollars is not going to make me, it might make my casket a little bit nicer, but it's not going to put a bigger smile on my face.
Right? Totally. I want to talk about your wife a little bit. I know you, like you said, you recently had Goldie, and she just wanted to get back in shape again, and you're helping her with that. So how is that going? And do you have her like on any type of diet plan, or is it just certain foods and workouts?
She's a very, very unique, and I say this loosely, case, because she is my wife. She's more than just a client or a case,
Right.
because she's the mother of my children, my best friend, and honestly, the main reason I've won figuratively at anything in my life, because she's constantly monitoring my workload, because I'm an obsessive compulsive person. So if I set a goal for myself, I always write them down and I put it on a post-it note and I put it on the mirror. So I see it every morning when I'm brushing my teeth. So she knows if she sees a new post-it note go up on the mirror, she's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
But I mean, she's always known that about me. She knew what she was signing up for. It doesn't make it easier, but having 5 kids and trying to monitor me and support me the way that she does, I do not know how she does it. But I don't want to say stopped working out 4 years ago, but she just didn't have time for it. I've got a 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and 4-month-old. That's a lot.
Yeah, for
And not
sure.
only is it a lot of work, it requires a lot of energy because they they are in so much need when they're 4 months and 3 years old and 4 years old and 5 years old. They depend on you for everything. Mommy, I made poopy. Well, that's so great. And then you go back to your work, but I need you to wipe my butt. It's always something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So for me to be able to provide the same support that she provided me during my 10-year NFL career, to be able to provide that to her for 30 days with me obviously being her workout partner, which has been an incredible journey that I've been able to go on with her, because I don't necessarily ever go out in the backyard and do sumo squats with no weight, but that's what she needs. And so I'm going to do it with her. I can't let her go on this alone. Plus, it gives us kind of like a common goal to work towards. And so, I provide encouragement. I, provide the workouts. I provide the nutrition. I provide the supplementation. But nutritionally for her, it's a little bit of a unique case because she's still nursing. So the reason she wanted to start working out is because she's got a little couple things that are jiggling that weren't jiggling a few years ago, and I don't mind. I don't want my wife to have abs like I have, and I don't want her to be hard like I'm hard. But if she voices a a desire to improve her physique and improve her overall health, I can't think of anybody better to do it than me. So we're going through this different process, but I have to be very, very mindful of not putting her in a caloric restriction, because she is feeding another human being with the food that she puts in her stomach, and she's nursing and everything. And she doesn't take probiotics or digestive enzymes, or she didn't take any supplements aside from a prenatal multivitamin. And I got her on to a good regimen because I wanted to first kind of attack her gut health and improve that first, and then start from the gut and then work our way out. And it was so funny to see like 3 days of the supplementation going on and getting her through detoxing from processed sugars and all these other things, and she's consuming digestive enzymes and probiotics. And then I didn't think about it, but 3 days after we started our 30-day metabolic reset, every morning we woke up, the baby had crap from her neck all the way to her ankle. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I'd go get larger diapers. Same thing would happen. I would freaking duct tape the top of her diaper. It was just like I couldn't figure out why all of a sudden this was happening. And then I was like, do you think it's maybe the probiotics and the digestive enzymes that you're eating that she might be getting through your milk? And I figured it out. So at least I know my wife's digestive tract is working well because she doesn't share that information with me. I don't want to know it, but I can see that baby Goldie is a reflection of her digestive tract. So just stuff like that. It's been a growth process for me because I've never been confident enough to advise somebody postpartum, because there's so many different hormone changes, and I'm insanely well informed and educated. I was pre-med in college, and I've gone through some certifications and stuff like that because I love that stuff and I wanted to learn it, but I was never confident enough to provide more than just a training program for somebody that was currently pregnant or that had just had a baby, because there's a lot going on. And the worst thing I could ever do is negatively affect someone's health because maybe I'm not as knowledgeable or I haven't had experience helping somebody like that, but now I do. And it's actually helping me gain a little bit more confidence to be able to help an even larger demographic of people, because, being a dad, having a wife, having 5 kids, like all I want to do is help women at this point in my life. And it seems crazy for me to say that because I'm like a freaking gorilla meathead in the gym, but then when I leave, I mean, I have a purple hat on today. You know what I mean? Like,
You got your soft side too.
I got freaking rainbows all over the place and unicorns. So like, I like that stuff now because I've got 4 daughters. So I look back on all the people that supported me more than anybody else on my journey. It was my grandmother, my mother, my wife, my best friend, who is also a female. I got 4 daughters. My entire support group is women. why don't I shift gears and take my knowledge and my experience and my prowess and my ability to motivate and bring that to women? Because for the last year and a half, I've only been teaching people how to get leaner, get bigger arms, and get six-pack abs. And that's awesome because that helps boost people's confidence. And women have benefited a ton from what I've done in the last 2 years. But what have I done for women in general? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And it's not a marketing tactic or anything. It's just something I haven't done yet that I want to do now.
Yeah.
And it was inspired by my wife coming to me about 5 weeks ago and telling me that she had a desire to make a change. And that turned into a whole different direction for my life.
Now, going back a little bit, you talked about gut health starting there.
Mhm.
Is that important for everyone to start with their gut health?
What I've learned in the last 9 months about the role and the importance of gut health would blow your mind. I mean, it's unbelievable how much your gut influences everything in your body. I mean, it affects your mind, it affects your circulatory system, it affects your skin, your hair, your nails, your eyes. I mean, your energy level, your focus, your recovery ability, and it's not that hard to fix. But they're getting misinformation, or they're buying programs from bodybuilders. Nothing against bodybuilders, because I got a lot of friends, but they're buying programs from bodybuilders that are ruining their gut health. They're getting six-pack abs, but they're actually long term doing irreparable damage to their metabolism. And all these freaking supplements. I mean, some of these supplements that people are taking, I'm not kidding you, I would not give it to my dog.
Wow.
Because you look at the ingredient list, it's like, okay, so this might make your muscles get a little bit bigger, or maybe help you recover a little bit faster. But how about 11 years from now when you have freaking pancreatic cancer?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm gonna go ahead and pass. You know what I mean? So just knowing what I know now, and working in the supplement industry, and doing some of my own formulations, and I'm so much more well informed now. But I'm thankful that I didn't get into all that, the crazy supplementation, when I was in the NFL, because a lot of that stuff was illegal. So I stayed away from it long enough to learn about it. Now that I learned about it and I didn't put it in my body, I can tell people, listen, guys, you can still get big muscles, you can still get lean, you can still improve your gut health, you can still have high energy without essentially putting this cancer in your body.
Right. Living proof right here.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that people can do at home to start fixing their gut health?
Drink water.
Really?
It's
Okay.
free. You know what I mean? It's the two most important things that people can apply into their life right this moment is, every pound of body weight you have, you should drink 1 ounce of water. Example, you weigh 128 pounds, you drink 128 ounces of water. That's a gallon of water. A little bit more difficult for somebody my size, because I'm drinking almost 2 gallons of water per day, but I've been able to experience the benefits of something as simple as just increasing your water intake, and the whites of your eyes get brighter. Your skin complexion changes, your energy goes up, your recovery goes up. Waking up in the morning, I can tell a huge difference when I'm hydrated versus, if I had a flight and I didn't replenish, my back hurts, my neck hurts, my knees are sore. Just the systemic inflammation throughout my entire body is higher. There's a reason people get headaches when they're dehydrated. Water's pretty freaking important, you know what I mean? So that's one, and the other one's free as well, sleep. And that's something I had to learn the hard way. During my NFL career, I was super dialed in on it. And then when I retired, I became an entrepreneur, and there was all these things I wanted to achieve. And I went from, this is figuratively speaking, from being in jail. And when I say jail, it's because my coach was like the warden.
Got it.
Show up at work at this time, and you can't call in sick.
Right.
So if I call in sick, like, there's nobody else on the team that can do my job. You can't call in sick, So it's all of the different things that you're forced to do. And then I retire. I have no boss. I have nobody making my agenda, nobody making my schedule, nobody giving my to-do list. I have to generate all those things myself, and I've never had to do it in my life. And so I didn't sleep a lot because I was a poor time manager. I work with people like Craig Ballantyne, Bedros, and honestly, that's the biggest value that I've taken away from them. And they knew that. They're like, you know what? You're a high achiever. You know what it takes to win. You're persistent. You're a hard worker. You're focused, but you're a terrible time manager. And a lot of the times I'd be wasting time on things other people could be doing that weren't going to move the needle. They weren't going to impact more people. They weren't going to grow my business. They weren't going to do anything aside from get that job done. So I learned from them how to time manage, and I've actually been able to reclaim my health. And that's one of the reasons I went into such a dark depression after leaving the NFL. That happens a lot to NFL guys because they lose that structure, and a lot of them have financial problems, and that leads to depression, which leads to divorce. And so when I started to get into this depression, I started to freak out because then your mind starts playing tricks on you. Then you start to think that you're a statistic now. Like, I'm depressed. Now I'm like, because I think it's like 77% of NFL players within 2 years of retiring are either broke or divorced. And I thought the depression was like the start for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm becoming a statistic, And so that was scary for me, but learning how to time manage has helped me reclaim my health because I'm a better time manager, which leaves me more time to sleep because I'm never going to miss time away from my kids. I'm never going to miss time away from my wife, and I'm never going to not get my job done. So if those are three things that are non-negotiable, the fourth thing is my health. And that's what was suffering. And that's why I had mental issues, dark depressions, anxiety, just unrelenting dark thoughts, because my cortisol levels, my endocrine system was completely wrecked. If you pull all-nighters, it's gonna happen. You don't have to have some predisposition genetic problem that makes you go into depression. Yeah, those do happen and they are real, but I didn't have that. I just didn't take care of my body. And then all of a sudden I wake up and life sucks. I'm going to become a statistic. I'm going to be broke one day and my wife's going to leave me. You start thinking all these thoughts, but they're not real thoughts. The reason your mind is playing tricks on you is because you didn't give it what it needed. Long-winded answer to the two things people can do in their life: drink water and sleep. You won't get depressed. You'll win in life.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. I want to ask now, I've heard you talk about having sparks and turning those into flames, or, the sparks just kind of fade out. Can you explain that a little more for us?
Yeah, so it's really easy to look on Instagram or YouTube and get inspired and get motivated. And that's one of the things I absolutely freaking love to do. I love seeing the comments under an inspirational video that I post, whether that could be me selfie style, just giving people kind of food for thought, or it could be a hardcore training montage video. But regardless, that motivation, I love to give that to people, but I started to feel that it was inadequate. Um, Inspiring people is great, but then where do they go? Inspiration and motivation are what's going to get you started, but habit is what's going to keep you going. So the spark to me is the equivalent of motivation. That's going to be the thing that you cannot achieve a flame without having. You can never have a flame without a spark. So the motivation and the inspiration for me to help people realize there's more out there in life than the way that you're living right now. We were meant for more than waking up, going to work, paying our bills, and going to sleep. And a lot of people get stuck in the mediocrity of how everybody else lives. Every single person that was born with a gift and a purpose. I truly believe that. If people don't believe that or listen to it, change the channel, because that's what I believe. And I'm on this show right now, so I'm gonna say what I believe. I believe everybody has a purpose. And I believe everybody has a gift, and it is our responsibility to discover what that is. Discover what your gift is, and it could be a billion different things, and you could have more than one gift. To me, I feel like my gift that I was given was my ability to connect with people, and my ability to give them what I have. And I want what I give to people to be motivating and inspiring and positive and encouraging, because if I can be that spark for people, I can get them started. But then what happens? Then I feel like if I'm inspiring them, what happens a week later when they're having a tough day? Do I have to re-inspire them? No, I need to inspire them one time, and then I need to provide for them the GPS coordinates to become a flame. And the GPS coordinates are just a fancy word for a plan. If you inspire somebody and you give them an execution plan, it's going to be a flame. So, you look at the spark is motivation, the nitrogen required, the oxygen required, the carbon dioxide required to mix with that spark that makes it become a flame. That's the plan. So to me, I like to speak in metaphors and analogies because it makes it more real for me. And hopefully it makes it more real for other people, because you hear goals and you hear motivation and you hear inspiration all day, but give me an example of it. And I think the combustion and the realization and creation of fire, like a flame, is a good thing, because a flame gives off heat and it gives off illumination, light. If you have a flame and people come to that flame, they're going to receive the warmth. They're going to receive the illumination in their life. And so right now, I'm a flame. Before I die, I want to be a bonfire.
No, thank you for sharing that, because metaphors, they really do stick a lot better with me. So just hearing that is, I don't know, I'm just so motivated right now. Let's go.
Good. I'll make your plan here in a minute.
Okay,
I
good.
can't let you leave without your nitrogen,
Yes.
oxygen, and carbon dioxide.
Please. So, I mean, I know you're so positive, you got a lot going on, but you have to deal with negativity in life. How do you overcome that, or how do you push it away and not feed into it?
Over the last 6 months, I've actually realized that the majority of the negativity in my life has been coming from myself. It's something I've never realized about myself, and I think it's a gift and a curse, because I say it's negativity and it's become negativity because I don't discard it when it happens. And you're wondering, okay, well, what happens? I beat myself up when I don't win. For example, I choose a goal, I put it on my mirror, I give myself, so this is the measurable goal, this is the definitive timeline, and if I don't get to that point, or even maybe at some point during that pursuit, I get hung up on something, life happens, kids, this, that, the other, and I don't reach that goal, I beat myself up over it. And and that's where the majority of the negativity in my life comes from. It comes from myself, but I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of people, whether they're conscious to it or not, negative self-talk themselves. And I feel like all day, every single day, I am positive self-talking myself and trying to grow that stronger than the imposter syndrome of, why do you need to go on a podcast? You were just a punter. You're not even in the NFL anymore. Why would somebody buy a program from you? You're not a doctor. Why would somebody listen, to you and your nutritional protocol? You're not a master nutritionist. And all these different things and these voices that we all hear in our mind. It's the same voice that's telling you to hit the freaking snooze button in the morning. That voice is a liar. And that's what I have to remind myself every single day, every single morning, when you start to have that conversation with yourself about whether or not you should do something, you need to exercise the real voice to be able to grow stronger, to overcome and drown out that still small voice of negativity that is telling you you're not good enough. Your life doesn't have meaning. You don't have a gift. You're not the same as everybody else. You can't do it. Your life's not good enough. They have this. You don't have that. All these different things that all these different people are dealing with, I'm dealing with them too, but I know how to overcome them. Not to say like I'm perfect in doing it, because if I do try to do it and I don't, I'm going to beat myself up over it. But it's been a gift and a curse, because I'm so hard on myself that I have achieved a lot, but it doesn't come without a cost. Now that I'm not in the athletic realm, and that positive self-talk of, quit being a, get up, just get the work in. You can do this. you were meant for something bigger. Your teammates are counting on you. Your coach is going to hold you accountable. All those different accountability factors that I used to have in my life, I'm the only accountability factor in my life. I don't have a boss, but I wanted it to be that way, but I got to be the boss of me.
Mhm.
And so I think when people kind of have that paradigm shift in their mind that today I am going to become the CEO of my life, that's when things will change, because only you can get yourself out of depression. Only you can lose that weight. Only you can form that life habit that's going to change your life and your family's life. And that family's life is going to change that community's life. And that community's life is going to change the city. And the city's going to change the state. The state's going to change the world. So it all starts with you having a conversation in your mind that still small voice of negativity is a fucking liar. And once you make that decision that no more will you allow that voice not to be heard, because it's always going to be heard, but to stop listening to that voice. You can hear it, acknowledge it, consume it, discard it, and then come back with that positive self-talk of you were meant for something. You have a purpose in this life. And I think once you start to get a custom and routine of, I hear that voice, acknowledge it. All right, it's time to kick up the motivational speaker on my other shoulder. Hey, you over there, shut up. We got this. We're the master of our destiny. We know where we're going to go. We know how we're going to do it. And there's nothing you can do to stop us. Then at that point, it's 2-on-1. You win. But you have to make that decision first.
Thank you so much for giving
I've
all the knowledge.
never even said that before. I need to go back and listen to this because that was actually pretty good.
No, it was.
I think the reason I've never talked about that before is because I've actually never shared, because it's actually just recently in December is when I had that really dark period where I couldn't get out of bed, and it was a week long. Just my wife was becoming very, very nervous because her entire life with me, we've been together since we were 18. She's like, you're the most mentally regimented, tough person I have ever met. So to see her go, for her to see me go from being bulletproof, as far as she was concerned, to Swiss cheese, laying in the bed like a sloth, she was worried, like, is this a midlife crisis? Is he ever going to get out of bed? Do I even want the kids to come in here and see him like this? Like, those are legitimate concerns. I don't want some of the memories from my kids' childhood to be their dads in a dark room watching Netflix for 3 days. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was what, 5 months ago? So it's fresh in my mind. And, I wasn't planning on talking about it today, but you said, what was the biggest life struggle? And I haven't been asked that question since that happened. So I got a new worst time in my life. But, looking back on it, it provided so much for me in terms of exposing a weakness of mine. And it wasn't necessarily my mindset, but it did force me to shift my focus away from business and away from family and away from my wife, and put it on myself. Because I say this to moms all the time. The greatest gift that you can ever give your husband or your kids or your church or your community is the greatest version of yourself. And in order to create and build the greatest version of yourself, you have to take time for yourself. If that's 35 minutes for a boot camp class, or that's 10 minutes of mindfulness in the morning, or it's spending that extra $27 a week so you can get produce to make yourself a green juice as part of your morning routine, whatever your thing is, you should constantly be trying new things to aid in your overall development, whether that's health and wellness, mindset, routine, relationships. I'm never going to stop being my own science project, because I know that I was made unique to every other person on this planet. So were you. So was the camera guy. So is the sound guy. So is the lighting guy. So is Bedros. But it's our responsibility to figure out our lifestyle and our habits. How can we form and shape and mold them to make us the greatest version of ourselves? And you can't do it alone. That's why I need Bedros.
Right.
I needed Craig. They were just excited, that I wanted to be in their mastermind, But what they didn't realize is I needed them a whole lot more than they needed me. And so it's a fun journey, man. I'm 35 years old and I feel like I'm a rookie all over again.
Hey, never peak. The best is yet to come.
I read that in the weight room this morning.
Well, I want to thank you for being so open and honest. We have to wrap it up here, but I do have one final question for you.
Give it to me.
What does living beyond the scale mean to you?
Living beyond the scale means living your life beyond the traditional measures of what's good, what's great, what's bad, what's heinous. I think the way we all measure success and happiness and prosperity is all different. The same way when you get on a scale and you weigh 100 pounds and somebody gets on the scale and they weigh 330 pounds, that 330-pound person that's morbidly obese may indeed be happier than the person that's 100 pounds. And I learned this whenever I started to create relationships with bodybuilders and people that to me were the picture of physical health and wellness. Come to find out, you develop relationships with them. They have high cholesterol. They have to take beta blockers. They have to take all these different things to kind of like counteract their lifestyle. And I'm not just saying just like drugs and steroids and stuff like that. Even people that are all natural, but they're eating to look a certain way instead of eating for overall wellness. So living beyond the scale to me is the intangibles of what's really, really important in life. Health, wealth, family, prosperity, all of those things go into what I think the measure of a man or a woman is how they treat others and how much happiness they're able to give other people. Because if you don't have happiness in your life, you can fake it all you want. I can tell when somebody truly wants to give me happiness of their heart, and people can tell the same of me. When you go through the motions, you can freaking spot the BS. So when people are constantly feeding happiness and prosperity and encouragement into my life, I know they have it in their life because they're self-generating it and gifting it to me.
Thank you so much for sharing. If we have any listeners that want to follow you, where can they find you on Instagram and Facebook?
At Weatherford 5 on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Snapchat's probably my favorite. But yeah, I mean, any questions that any people that are listening or watching right now that have about anything we talked about today or anything that they want to know that I possibly could help with, I am here to serve. I'm serving a life sentence of servitude.
And we'll make sure we post those links around. Thank you again so much, Steve. It was such a pleasure having you. Did you know that you could have done a full workout in the amount of time it took you to listen to this podcast? Go to fitbodybootcamp.com to claim your 3 free sessions now. And remember to join me next Tuesday so you can see who our special guest is. Until then, remember to live a fit body, fit mind forever.